This is Coach Lee, and you're listening to The Door Report.
Welcome back into The Door Report, and welcome into episode 346 on a pretty lovely, for the date that it is, December 16th, 2025. I am Will Byrum, joined as always by my co-host, Trevor Hulan, a.k.a. Hack Squat Jim Duggan. Here at The Door Report, we are presented by 615 Collectibles. If you're into sports cards or sports memorabilia, check out 615 Collectibles on eBay. Items include NFL team packs, graded cards, individual cards, and more. Shipping is always fast and free. Next up, Rhoback Activewear. There is only one way to describe Rhoback: best fit, best feel. For those who aren't familiar with Rhoback, they are completely changing the game with their incredibly comfortable activewear. Rhoback has released so many items within their newly licensed game day collection, and it's our favorite. With novel polo designs and clean hoodie and quarter zip designs for some of your favorite schools, it's definitely worth checking out. Nobody else in the market is pairing these levels of custom designs with this quality of activewear. Rhoback's everyday shorts, or their Delta performance pants, are the perfect pairing as well. They are both super comfortable, have an elastic waistband, and great fabric that is made to have the appearance of a nice short look, but the comfort for a day on the move. Rhoback has also been proudly leading the NIL charge, having signed partnerships with multiple college football stars, both past and present, and are becoming the go-to brand for college athletes across the country. You can use code VAN20, that is VAN20, all capital letters, no spaces, on Rhoback.com for a generous 20% off for all new customers. That's spelled Rhoback, RHOBACK.com. That's 20% off all performance polos, shorts, and more with code VAN20. Last but not least, the NIL store. Visit nil.store/doorreport15 and use code doorreport15, all capital letters, no spaces, at checkout for 15% off your entire order. They have some incredible gear out there from all your favorite Vanderbilt athletes, whether that's Diego Pavia, Junior Sherrill, Tyler Tanner. I'm sure there's a Jalen Washington. They got a bunch of guys on the basketball team that right now is hooping.
And Chase Gillespie with the football team.
And Chase Gillespie as well. So check out nil.store/doorreport15 and gear up with some of your favorite Vanderbilt athletes merch. Trevor, episode 346. A little bit less to talk about than we even did last week with Alex Kurbagov. We're not going through a big recruiting saga. What we do have is a little bit of Heisman Trophy controversy. On Saturday, December 13th at approximately 6:50 Central Standard Time, Fernando Mendoza, quarterback of the Indiana Hoosiers, was announced as the winner of the 2025 Heisman Trophy. Diego Pavia finished runner-up, and it was not particularly close, to be quite honest. Afterwards, Diego Pavia unfortunately took to social media. We'll get into that. We'll get into the details. And went out partying in New York and had an unfortunate sign brought out during bottle service. We will get into that quote unquote controversy in segment one. Me and Trevor will give our thoughts, as well as if the media and fans are over or underreacting. And I can kind of guess, or you guys can kind of guess where we fall on that. Then we're going to talk about some other awards that Commodore players and coaches have won/been named to recently, and then we'll get to a little recap of recent transfer portal activity. I don't know if that'll be before or after the TDR cocktail break, but then we'll hit the TDR cocktail break. Quickly go over the redshirt rule motion that was just, I guess, done yesterday.
Yeah, it's not decided though, right?
Yeah, I don't think so. At some point, we will have a lawyer's perspective, George Barclay, on to discuss that. But there's an incredible article on thedoorreport.com written by George if you want the latest and best details on what's going on right now in the legal landscape of college athletics. Then to close out the episode, we're going to talk some hoops. The Commodores still balling. One of only 7 undefeated teams left in the country. Number 13 in the AP poll. We will discuss a little Vandy hoops before getting to premium message board questions. So, Trevor, we're still a couple weeks away from the bowl game. No football to talk about and or preview. It's the vibe check right now. How are we feeling?
Vibe check. Vanderbilt football still in the top 15. Vanderbilt men's and women's basketball are in the top 15, number 13. It is darn near impossible not to be at a 10 out of 10 whenever it comes to Vanderbilt athletics. Now that we have sort of taken, I don't want to call it a break, but now that like the regular season is over for football, I'm like very much like in full blown basketball season mindset. I check Evan Maya and Bart Torvik every single day. It feels like I'm always on there, even though things don't necessarily update every single day. I'm always on there, like looking up like their top 10 players, their top 10 teams, the best rotations in college basketball. Big game tomorrow against Memphis, and I'm sure we'll get into that. A bad Memphis team that I think Vanderbilt should take behind the shed and handle pretty easily. I know Tennessee's got a big game right now against Louisville, and my Lipscomb Bison, horns up, are apparently in a dogfight with the Duke Blue Devils. But to answer your question short, vibes are 10 out of 10. No complaints from me.
Last thing to get to here in the intro. There's been social media rumblings. Things have been now confirmed.
Oh, God.
Trevor Hulan, a.k.a. Hack Squat Jim Duggan, will be attempting to eat 100 hot dogs in a 24-hour period beginning tomorrow/today when this episode is released, December 17th at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Chef Miller will be cooking up these hot dogs for Trevor. You've given the vibe check. How are you feeling about this momentous task ahead of you?
So I want to clarify one thing before I get into that. A lot of people are under the assumption that I made this bet because I didn't think Vanderbilt would go 9-3 or beat Tennessee. That is not true. If you go back to my season prediction, I predicted Vanderbilt to go 9-3. I also predicted them to beat Tennessee. I believe the Doors were going to do it this whole time. This just started in the Door Report group chat to where Blake said I couldn't eat 100 hot dogs in 24 hours. And I was like, yes, I can eat 100 hot dogs in 24 hours. So this was the deal that was made. To answer your question, I can't stop thinking about it. I'm very nervous. I'm going to be honest, guys. I don't know if I'm going to eat 100 hot dogs in 24 hours. The goal, my personal goal, you can call this cheat, you can call this cheating, you can call this a coward's way out. I don't care. If I hit 35 hot dogs, then I don't have to follow through with the punishment. And that punishment is tweeting at Chad Wither and Will Bowling, telling them that I look up to them as role models and that radio is the dominant media force out there and that it will continue to be. I'm trying not to do that. So I'm trying to aim for 35 hot dogs. I have a plan. I haven't eaten at all today. The Tuesday that we're recording, I have not consumed a lick of food. Yeah. The game plan is, in full transparency, the game plan is I'm going to try and hit 35 hot dogs in about 3.5 hours. So at 11 o'clock tomorrow, my goal is to down about 10 hot dogs an hour. That's full transparency. That is my goal, is 10 hot dogs an hour. I have bought Tums. I bought Pepto-Bismol. I've drank a lot of water, and I have like this kombucha digestive support drink that I've been drinking. I will get more of that, and I will also consume that with my hot dogs tomorrow. Yeah. I am worried I'm not even going to hit the 35 dog mark, though, to be honest.
I believe in you, if that helps at all. I think most people also hear 35 hot dogs, and they're like, man, that's not that. That's a lot of hot dogs.
That's a lot of hot dogs.
That's a lot of hot dogs. If anybody wants a good laugh, ask ChatGPT if it's safe to eat 100 hot dogs in 24 hours. The response is great. It says short answer, no. Eating 100 hot dogs in 24 hours is not safe for most people. Luckily for us, Trevor Hulan is not most people. You will be consuming, if you reach 100, between 40,000 and 60,000 milligrams of sodium.
That's
the recommended daily limit is 2,300. Expect intense nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, diarrhea, or constipation. Bottom line, this isn't just unhealthy. It can be medically dangerous. I strongly advised against it.
Yeah, well, as a soon-to-be health professional, I would always tell folks, do not follow ChatGPT for medical advice. However, in this instance, I think they might be onto something. But yeah, I even like looked up, I'm trying to lower my expectations, and I've just been Googling 35 hot dogs in 24 hours. And there have been a couple of, like the Bobby Bones show did, where one of their producers or whatever tried to eat 100 hot dogs in 24 hours, and he got to like 15. And he said at like the 12 to 13 dog mark, he said it was like the worst pain he's experienced in his entire life.
We're gonna see how this goes.
So I want to preface, like, if I only make it to 12, I don't want people tweeting him and be like, soft 12 hot dogs. You know what?
Try it.
I'll give you our address. You can come here and you can eat 10 hot dogs. Come here. Yeah. Tell me if you can do it.
I like how you're talking shit to people that no one requested.
This is true, yes. But I'm just saying,
not one person listening is like, damn, you got to do it, dude.
Yes, that is true. But I'm just saying, because I know there's going to be a couple people who've been like, man, you're a disappointment. You only ate 12 hot dogs. And so I just want to preemptively address that. I think for the most part, everybody on Twitter is very supportive. And if I only had like 7 hot dogs, I'd be like, hey man, you did your best and we're proud of you.
Honestly, if you don't hit double digits, I'm gonna be mad at you. That's the only thing I'll say about this chat. If you don't hit double digits, what are we doing here?
I'm going to try and get 35 hot dogs in the first 3.5 hours. That's my goal.
That's a lofty goal.
That's 35 hot dogs that would be what? 1:30?
No, that's
2:30.
2:30.
2:30, sorry.
Yeah, nobody out there has requested this. In fact, I think quite a bit of our Twitter following is confused by this. But Trevor's a man of his word. And this was part of if you want to go back and listen, this was part of the discussion in our season preview where Blake Fromang joined. I don't have the episode number in front of me. And then it's evolved from there, as Blake has never forgotten what Trevor agreed to. So if Trevor dies, it's your fault, Blake, allegedly.
Yeah, but if I can get 35 hot dogs by 2:30, I'm calling it quits. I'm putting that on the record now. If I can get 35 dogs by 2:30, Wednesday, December 17th, I'm calling it quits. And I'm counting that as a win.
See, before the episode started, Trevor said that to me. He said, if I hit 35 in 3.5 hours, I'm done. And I said, but buddy, you have the heart of a champion. If you hit 35 in 3.5 hours, you're going to want to make a statement. With the amount of dogs you can, with the amount of glizzies you can gobble, you're going to want to make an absolute statement.
35 in 3.5 hours is a statement, though. If you
that
think
is a
about
statement in and of itself.
You know, what would be so funny though is if, like, I'm on dog 24 and I'm like, dude, if I have another bite, I'm gonna die. And my phone just rings, and on the other side is Clark Lee, and he gives me like a halftime pep talk. I might get to 50.
It's all about winning the middle 8.
Head body, baby.
Head body.
Hey, we run to win, throw to score.
We got some more hard-hitting Vanderbilt discussion coming up. This was a wonderful intro, but before we get into segment 1, we are now a part of the On3 Publisher Network, as I'm sure Shannon Terry is thrilled about what we have going on over here. The Door Report.
I was going to say something, but I'm just not going to say anything.
Please subscribe to thedoopreport.com today to a monthly or annual premium membership, and for access to premium content as well as our premium message board behind closed doors. Also, don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at The Door Report. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Our podcast is available on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and Google Podcasts. And while you're at it, give our podcast 5 stars and a review on iTunes or Spotify. It's now time for segment 1.
Club, are you here? I can't hear. We can't hear you. There's too much money in my fucking hand.
Welcome back into episode 346 of The Door Report, and welcome into segment 1. We were just discussing the hot dogs throughout the break between the intro and segment 1, and I was just thinking the sad, tragic comedy it would be if Trevor started experiencing horrible heart pains and I had to drive him to the hospital. And Trevor's laying there. He can't speak. He's being taken back. The doctors are talking with me, and they're saying, what did he take? What drugs did he take? What did he take today? It's 3 p.m. on a Wednesday. And I'm like, he's eaten 38 hot dogs with buns. And they're like, what's hot dog slang for? I'm like, nothing. It's just 38 dogs. They're like, it is a fucking Wednesday. What are we doing?
Does he not have a job?
Like, Don't worry about what we're doing over here.
No, don't worry about his day-to-day activity. Just know I'm not lying. He has consumed 38 hot dogs with buns.
So that'll get you to the core of this problem quicker, I hope. In segment one,
How do you even treat that? What do you do? If you're a medical professional, how do you treat that?
similar to like alcohol poisoning, it's
Just gotta get my stomach
a
pumped,
stomach
yeah.
pump situation. That's enough about hot dogs, I think, for now on this episode. I also am a 28-year-old guy with a desk job, and I currently am in a miniature sandal/boot because I have turf toe.
We're just
We're
falling apart here
falling
at
apart over
TDR.
here badly. Turf toe as a 28-year-old financial analyst is just nuts.
In terms of like how it applies to athletes and like running backs specifically, whenever they get turf toe and people are like, oh, he's out with turf toe. Come on, just rub some dirt on it. Can you tell the listeners like how you're like, wow, this actually does suck. I couldn't imagine playing football with this.
Assuming it is, well, that's what I went to an ortho urgent care, and they basically said it was turf toe from running, and because they did an X-ray and there was no bone damage, and I'm going back for an evaluation later. This literally like woke me up at 2 a.m. I could not sleep. I could not walk. I could not, if I put any pressure on. By the way, your big toe does a lot. Takes a lot of body weight on each step. I could not even like fathom attempting to play unless I was shot up with something great. It literally, now I have a different type of understanding of like where Joe Burrow had turf toe, and his was a way more extreme version of what I have, I'm sure. You can't. It's not like, oh, it's a pain tolerance. It's like maybe to an extent it's a pain tolerance in the term of like, yeah, you can't really make it worse besides extending the recovery time, but you can't bend your toe. It like swells and inflames, and I could not bend my big toe. Like there's no, like I understand turf toe a lot better now, and I will, not like I crap on athletes for injuries anyway, but I will fully understand when I see an athlete out for an extended period with turf toe.
Yeah, like if Derrick Henry was out this Sunday and they're like, oh, it's turf toe, and you see all the people on Twitter being like, turf toe, man, back in the day, they would just rub some dirt on it. And you're like, no, you don't understand.
Yeah, I've broken my pinky toe multiple times, broken my nose, had stitches in my face. Turf toe is the most debilitating of any of those. Like, that's where it is on your foot. It's terrible. So you will fully understand if you ever experience turf toe, which is crazy that I'm experiencing turf toe as a 28-year-old that sits at a desk all day. But here we are. Running is a scam. It may help you lose weight. They tell you it's healthy. You're going to hurt yourself. Guaranteed. Doesn't matter if you go to Fleet Feet and get the very expensive running shoes. You're still going to hurt yourself. I'm going to be back at it hopefully soon.
You should join one of those run clubs to where it's basically just
cult.
a sex cult.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that probably. I like running up and down dirty Charlotte Pike. That's what I like in Nashville, Tennessee. I like stepping over homeless people as I'm running.
running right by Euroworks.
No, it's
and
great
the
stuff.
Circle K.
Yeah, just close down businesses. Great escapes over there. It's beautiful stuff.
Sir Pizza.
Yeah, Sir Pizza. The Circle K views it really brings you back. You know?
I will say though,
a lot of bus stops on my run, by the way.
I will say, I love Charlotte Ave. I love Sylvan Park. This is the best neighborhood in America. Compared to what we came from, this is the best neighborhood in America.
Well, yeah, compared to where we came from.
People are going to say, oh, what about East Nashville, Belle Meade? Don't give a rip. Sylvan Park rules.
That's where it's at. All right, let's get into actual Vanderbilt talk here. Enough about hot dogs and enough about dogs. Talking about feet here. What a transition. I can't stop.
Transition, God.
I can't stop. Like I said, the Heisman Trophy was presented on Saturday, December 13th on ABC. Fernando Mendoza, the Indiana quarterback, named the winner of the Heisman Trophy. We went over the stats last time. We gave our case, gave our thoughts on it. I'm not going to go into that again. People have heard us talk about that extensively. I will get into how the voting finished up. It wasn't particularly close. And Fernando Mendoza swept all the regions. You talked about kind of how it was like an electoral college type process to an extent. Fernando Mendoza not only won a majority of the votes, he also swept all the regions. Fernando Mendoza had 643 first place votes, 191 second place, 51 third place for 2,362 total points. Diego Pavia, the runner-up, had 189 first place votes, 352 second place, 164 third place, 1,435 points. Jeremiah Love actually came in third. I was a little surprised by that. I expected it to be Julian Sayin.
I was surprised by that
in
as well.
third. Jeremiah Love had 719 total points. Julian Sayin 432. Jacob Rodriguez, who was not a finalist, the linebacker from Texas Tech, had 295. I didn't realize it was that tight. between Jacob Rodriguez actually receiving an invite to New York. But that's the final voting tally. I'm not going to say it was surprising to any Vanderbilt fans. I'd fully accepted that Mendoza was going to win the Heisman going into the presentation. I will say, as the presentation was going on, a small part of me started being like, well, you started getting that little inkling of hope, where I'd still held out that 1% of hope. But unfortunately for Vanderbilt fans, Fernando Mendoza is your 2025 Heisman winner. I have nothing against Fernando Mendoza. So, he's just a forgettable Heisman to me. I mean, I think generally the statistics this year from your Heisman finalists overall, including Pavia, are really low. Like, the type of season that got you invited to New York was a lot lower than in general. Like, Jeremiah Love, I believe, had 21 touchdowns, which was a Notre Dame record for a running back, I believe. But he only had 1,392 rushing yards. The stats this season, for whatever reason, just weren't there.
Yeah.
I just think that Mendoza is kind of a forgettable Heisman. That doesn't mean he's not deserving, but I do believe Diego Pavia should have won, but Mendoza certainly a deserving Heisman winner, even though it's disappointing.
Yeah. And we were talking about this before we even turned on the camera, is we knew that we would have to talk about this. And we would get into the Diego Pavia controversy, which I guess we can just go on and jump into right now. To be fully transparent, if you came to this podcast, you want me to stop?
Well, I was just going to say, if we go into that, there are probably people listening that are not online.
Oh, go
constantly.
ahead. Break it down.
So to give a rundown, and then I'll swing it to you for your thoughts on it, and then I'll give my thoughts after. So after the Heisman Trophy ceremony, this is what all the controversy is about. If you've heard about Diego Pavia, any of that stuff, this is what it is. Diego Pavia this is what he did. Posted an Instagram story, or reposted somebody else's Instagram story, and added in the text F- all the voters, thumbs down emoji, but ... family for life. I'm not censoring an F word there. That's what he put. F all the voters, thumbs down, but family for life. That was number one. Number two, there was a video that surfaced, I don't know who posted it online, of Diego Pavia partying in New York in a section after the Heisman Trophy ceremony. And a sign came out with bottle service. It was a digital sign that had "Fuck Indiana" scrolling across the digital sign. I don't know, and nobody's really confirmed if Diego Pavia ordered that sign or if somebody else in his section ordered the sign. If you're in a club that has bottle service and a section, somebody buys a bottle at every single club in the entire country.
Yeah.
And you're asked, what do you want to put on the sign? And there's a sign that comes out along with the bottle, because they're trying to convince you that it's worth paying between $600 to $2,000 for a bottle of liquor that cost $80. So they come out with sparklers and a sign with bottle girls, and that was what the sign said. So it wasn't like a sign. That's where also some people I saw replying, and this doesn't apply to most. Some people were like, this was premeditated, pre-planned. I'm like, he didn't bring the sign.
Yeah.
That's how bottle service at clubs work.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm not a big club guy, but I've been to clubs to where there are a ton in Nashville that have bottle service. And they always, like you said, they always come out with a cheap bottle of liquor they're charging a lot of money for, and a sign that whoever's ordering the bottle can put whatever the hell they want on there.
And you see some crazy things on those signs. Some wild things.
Yeah. Like, fuck Indiana is very tame for what I've seen on some of these signs. And I'm not a partier. Like, I've been to like maybe 2 clubs with bottle service.
All of that, that is what it was. The next day, Diego Pavia, likely with influence from Clark Lee, his agent, whoever else, issued an apology on Twitter. I'm not going to read the whole apology, but the beginning is, being a part of the Heisman ceremony last night as a finalist was such an honor. As Twitter is reloading on me, being a part of the Heisman ceremony last night as a finalist was such an honor. As a competitor, just like in everything I do, I wanted to win. To be so close to my dream and come up short was painful. I didn't handle those emotions well at all and did not represent myself the way I wanted to. I have much love and respect for the Heisman voters and the selection process, and I apologize for being disrespectful. It was a mistake, and I'm sorry. The apology goes on. So that's it. That's the story. 23-year-old college quarterback went to social media, and inevitably that's the problem. Is it was on social media. Everything now has to be recorded. And somebody posted that video. Without that video of Pavia partying afterwards in New York City with "Fuck Indiana" on the sign, I just don't think this is a controversy. It's
Yeah.
If there's one lesson, and we can dig into this, I'll swing it to you for your take on it, and then I'll give mine. There's one lesson to be learned from this, kids. Not everything needs to be recorded.
Yeah.
And not everything needs to be posted.
Just put the
social
phone
media.
down.
Put the phone down.
Put the phone down.
I'm shaking my fist at the clouds.
And
as
we
an old
get it.
man.
It's
I get it.
Yeah.
I'm not that old. I get it.
We're 28 years old. We were your age. I feel so old, man, right now. But it's be like we were 23 not that long ago. Like it was just a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and it's like I was saying, man. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. If you are listening to this podcast and we're hoping to have some like in-depth, like nuanced discussion about the Diego Pavia situation, I don't know about Will, but like from me in particular, then I'm sorry. Ultimately, when it comes to this scenario, I just don't care. I don't care that he had the sign with bottle service. I don't care about the Instagram post. I really don't. I don't care. I don't give a rip. Some opposing fans or people will say, oh, it's because he's your quarterback. Yeah, you're exactly right. That 110% plays a huge factor. But we were saying before the podcast, if Joey Aguilar was at the Heisman ceremony and he did something like this, we would talk about it and like make a joke about it for maybe 2 or 3 minutes. Then we would move on. I really just do not care. I don't care.
Yeah. And I think that's a very valid position that people have forgotten you can take on subjects.
Everything is so binary. It's like, oh, you either have to like, yes, I 110% support him, or no, I 110% hate him. He's a scumbag. I just don't care. He didn't kill anybody. He didn't hit anybody. He wasn't drunk driving. He didn't commit a crime. He made an Instagram post saying F the voters, and he was at a party and somebody brought out a sign that said fuck Indiana. I really like, if you want me to get all up in arms and just wave my fist in the air and be like, this is a disgrace, I'm just not going to do it. I really don't care. We grew up in the era of like Johnny Manziel, Cam Newton, Jameis Winston. Like, I think we forget how tame this is compared to like a lot of other athletes that we've grown up watching. You know what I mean? Like Johnny Manziel, we were like, yeah, like it's a little bit unorthodox for a Heisman, but growing up, like as kids, I don't know about you, but I was like, man, I think this is kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's the video of Johnny Manziel with the big stack of money next to his ear. Sorry, I can't hear you. There's too much money in my fucking hand, and like, so
like we grew up with like Jameis Winston stole crab legs. I'm gonna be honest.
I didn't care about that.
I didn't care then. I don't care now. Cam Newton stole laptops. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't care then. I don't care now. It's just like, it's that simple. And I really have nothing else to say about the situation other than I truly do not care.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason that we're discussing this right now is it is Vanderbilt's quarterback, and it was a massive news story.
Mm-hmm.
So it needs to be covered on the podcast. Was it a massive news story that was necessary? I'm not so sure. I think because it was the Heisman Trophy presentation, all you had was the Army-Navy game. And what was the bowl game that was going on?
The Cricket Bowl.
Who was playing it? It was
South Carolina State and Prairie View.
There was another game going on, I swear.
There was one later that night.
Yeah.
You're right. I forget.
But whatever it was not a significant matchup, and it wasn't very close. This was the first Saturday without significant college football going on. And I think the college football media is still in like full churn content mode. And so it got a lot more attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, if this was like really, for example, if this was Jeremiah Love, for example, we wouldn't even talk about it.
We wouldn't.
Like I just wouldn't care. If this is Jeremiah Love with this exact same incident, it wouldn't make me be like, oh, whoa, what's going to happen? Oh, that he really showed his true colors. I just wouldn't care. And so a lot of this is built, and I will get into it a little bit of the nuance that you said you didn't want to get into. Because I did write an article that's available on thedoorreport.com about it, just giving some very brief thoughts. The number one thing on this is, I'm trying to think of a good way to phrase it. The first part of this is obviously not a mature professional reaction to being a runner-up in the Heisman Trophy. That's pretty obvious.
Yeah,
okay?
I'd agree with that.
Not a mature professional reaction to post on social media. That was an immature reaction to do that. Getting to the second part of it, it's just the Heisman voters, the moral grandstanding that I saw about disrespecting the Heisman process. For the last 3 to 4 months, all we have seen is fans, coaches, media just demonize the AP voters and the College Football Playoff Committee. We have seen literally people almost have their careers ruined, like Haley Sawyer.
Like
called out by everyone.
This is a great point, actually.
Indiscriminate. Just called out by everyone for how bad her AP ballot was. But God forbid you criticize the Heisman voters. They are beyond reproach. They are gods amongst men. No, it's just the same. It's just the Heisman, the people that have won a Heisman, and the media members. That's all it is. It's the same thing. So there can be criticism. Now, F all the voters. I'm not sure that's the best way to say it. Ow, Phoebe, as she bites me. I'm not sure that's the best way to say it, but like, let's get a grip on what is actually happening here. He's criticizing voters, and then a sign was brought out that said, "Fuck Indiana" on it. Dumb college kid that did not think of the repercussions. I hate saying college kid. 23-year-old college quarterback, not a kid. 23-year-old young man that made a bad decision. And didn't think through, I won't even say bad decision, did not think through the repercussions of what was happening. He already has an image and is somewhat of a controversial figure in Diego Pavia. People already hated him before any of this happened, and this was just further justification to hate him. And if you already hate him, then I can't really say anything. Like, this is just further justification of this guy's a douchebag. Screw this guy. But people being like, Pavia showed his true character. Like, okay, so his true character is kind of lashing out after losing a competition.
He's brash.
Yeah, now, if it was, this is where it's different. If during the ceremony, Mendoza is announced as the winner and Pavia left the room during Mendoza's speech,
we would be on here being like, that was
ridiculous.
Yes.
And that was embarrassing. And that was not how you conduct yourself.
Absolutely.
That's not what happened. He got up, he hugged Mendoza, whatever happened, sat there, listened to the speech. And this was well afterwards, after the ceremony had happened. So I just, to an extent, like, I know I'm talking about this a lot, I just don't really care that much. The other part that I saw a lot of comments for and about were, we'll see what it does to his draft stock. Yeah, we'll see what NFL teams think. And I just wanted to grab people by the ears and say, Pavia was not going to be a top pick anyway. He was likely, and still is likely, not going to be drafted. His path to the NFL was as an undrafted free agent, signing with a team after the NFL draft. That was the case before any of this. He's a 5'9.5", 5'10" improviser quarterback that does not have elite speed. He's a great college quarterback. He's not really an NFL prospect. He's never really been an NFL prospect. Now, I'm not going to come on here and say he's not going to ever make a roster, because Pavia's proved a lot of people wrong throughout his career at his size that he can perform at the highest level. But the NFL is another huge step up in competition level and size. So it's not like he tanked his draft stock. That's another part. He doesn't really have draft stock. Teams that would be getting Pavia kind of know the personality that he has to begin with, and he's going to be on an undrafted free agent rookie deal. On a team, maybe making a practice squad. That's where he's at in this. That doesn't diminish anything he's accomplished in college whatsoever. But yeah, he didn't have a ton of draft stock to tank.
Well, and here's another thing too, and I brought this up in our TDR group chat, is I think you're naive and you're fooling yourself if you think that NFL GMs actually care about the moral character of the players they're drafting. Let's be so frank for a second. GMs and owners don't give a rip about the character of the player they are drafting. Pardon me?
I was just going to say character is separate from work ethic.
Yes.
They're separate
They
things.
care about who is going to get them wins, because wins means more money. If you're like, oh, man, he drafted, GMs are going to want to stay away from him. Okay. Well, Jalen Carter, who plays for my Philadelphia Eagles, has done a lot more egregious things than Diego Pavia, and he got drafted first round. Greg Hardy did a lot of really bad things, and Jerry Jones turned his eyes because he knew that he was a premier pass rusher. Tyreek Hill has done a lot of really, really, really bad things, and they've turned their eyes because he's one of the best wide receivers in the NFL.
Gronk did a lot of really bad things. Aaron Hernandez was on had a lot of red flags. But I'm saying, like, if you want to be like, man, this tanked his draft stock. Well, okay, you can say that. I can bring up 20 other guys who have done way worse than Diego Pavia, and it didn't impact them at all.
Yeah, but the thing is, he's going his best case scenario, regardless,
was UDFA.
Was UDFA, and his absolute best case scenario was the team falling in love with him and his personality during the process and taking a flyer on him in the 6th or 7th round. That was the best case scenario ever. If he was literally 4.0 GPA community, all he did was community. That was his best case scenario.
Yeah.
It's like, look who's playing wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs right now, Rashee Rice. Like,
that's another good one,
guys.
That's another like look who I don't want to upset Titans fans, but I'm sorry, look who your best player is on your team is Jeff Simmons.
Now, Jeff Simmons was an interesting scenario. I'm not defending it because it's still not good, but it was somebody assaulting his sister, and that's why it still impacted his draft stock.
Certainly,
and that's the only reason the Titans got him in the first round. But his was a little different than like Tyreek Hill's, for example. Like, there was just question marks around that, and he had an ACL thing, I believe.
Taylor Lewan. Like, if you think NFL GMs really care about the moral character of the guys they're drafting and signing, then I'm sorry, like, you just don't follow sports. That's all I wanted to say, because I've seen that argument brought up a lot, and it bothers me.
Well, it bothers me more just because it's like Pavia's not a top prospect. It's not like he was a first rounder and now he's going to slide to a 4th rounder. That he was never a top. He was never going to be that. That's not what he was.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like the hatred, the Pavia derangement syndrome has like ruined people's minds. I will say, Vanderbilt fans, people are talking about Vanderbilt. Now, this is not positive, but like, think about 3 to 4 years ago, like, everybody literally treated Vanderbilt as a complete joke. There was no serious discussion.
Think about 2023.
The fact that there's a controversy around Vanderbilt's quarterback like this, that's not like criminal or anything. It's just controversy about how he acted after being runner-up in the Heisman, is a crazy thing in and of itself. But it is, I will say, I wrote the article and I closed it out by saying something. Now that I've got my thoughts, like, I just don't care that much. That's like, it's not that serious. And sometimes words, when you write them down, can come out a little more severe than you intend them to, or less severe than you intend them to. But how I concluded that article I wrote on thedoreport.com was, there are times you are held to a higher standard as an outstanding athlete in a major conference. Pavia did not live up to that standard. Pavia was already a controversial figure with plenty of people praying for a moment of bad judgment. This is now a distraction on what should be a time period celebrating a phenomenal year of Vanderbilt football, but it is not the devastating scandal that it is being portrayed. That's it. That's like, is it a great look? No. Is it an immature look? Yes. Is it some giant scandal? No. Like, that's the core of this. Is like, it's just the media cycle was slow that day, and it is what it is. And Pavia is a big name he's the biggest name in college football. If this doesn't prove it, I don't know what possibly can. Being the biggest name in college football doesn't mean you're beloved.
Yeah.
I'll say that. Like, he's just the biggest star in college football, the most name recognition. So that gets a lot of clicks. And that's why the media ran with it, is because Pavia gets clicks. That is what it is.
Big J journos were tougher on Diego Pavia for an Instagram post and a sign for bottle service than they ever were for Brian Kelly killing a kid.
Yep. And that was a grown man.
Yeah, and that wasn't a 23-year-old dude whose brain's not fully developed. That was a grown-ass man.
Yeah,
that's all I have to say about it. It pisses me off, and I'll be honest, guys. I'll defend Diego Pavia until I die, unless he commits like a serious crime. This is not a serious crime. I will defend this with my last dying breath.
To me, it's just not that serious. There was an old, before Clay Travis went very political, and a lot of the stuff he discusses. He used to have a debate, or not a debate, but a thing he would talk about of like dumb college kid stuff, and this is actually referring to like criminal stuff. It was dumb college kid stuff versus actual bad behavior that raises red flags. And most of what he was talking about was like dumb college kid stuff would be Jameis Winston stealing crab legs. Would be non-criminally Diego Pavia buying a sign that says "fuck Indiana." Non-dumb college kid stuff would be raping somebody. We're going to get flagged on YouTube for using that term, R-ing somebody. I don't know, whatever you want to say.
Sexually assaulting somebody. Like, that's serious things. And like, I'm not trying to say that just absolves Diego Pavia of criticism. Sure, if you already dislike him, criticize him. But Diego Pavia is who he is. And like, this is not something, and you can dislike it, but this is not something that's like, oh, I don't know. I don't know where I'm trying to get with this. I just don't care that much. And the amount of media attention this has gotten has kind of boggled my mind. Like, there are like 7 threads on behind closed doors on our message board about this. I saw this before it became a big story and just didn't think it was going to become the national headline that it is. Yeah, I'm there with you.
I thought it would get some attention, but I didn't think it would be a national story.
I didn't think it would be in the Times.
Yeah.
And this will be the last thing I say about it. And this is not to Diego Pavia, but this is to Vanderbilt University. And this is probably going to be hollow because I doubt anybody from the athletic department or Kirkland actually does listen to the podcast. I will say this, though. So help me God, Vanderbilt University, if you use this moment as an excuse not to keep the same attitude and the same edge towards Vanderbilt football as you have had during Diego Pavia's tenure, and you're like, yeah, it kind of backfired on us. He did this. So help me God, if you stop that, I will be livid. Do not pull away from supporting Vanderbilt football. Do not pull away from investing in brash athletes who actually care about the football program because of this one instance. So help me God.
Yeah, that is maybe the larger, grand-reaching blowback of this, is the potential of that within Kirkland and Vanderbilt University is a hesitance to further invest in players with a personality relatively similar. There's nobody with Pavia's personality, but somebody with that relative swagger to them and cockiness, confidence, whatever side of the spectrum you fall on. That would be the fear that Vanderbilt fans should logically have.
Keep investing in people who have Diego Pavia adjacent personalities, because you've seen what Diego Pavia type personalities have done for the Vanderbilt football program in 2 years. Keep investing in those type of guys.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of it on this topic. We've kind of hit everything. I think it's kind of crazy. It exposes a lot of like this predisposed disdain for Pavia that was already there, and then it also exposed to me how many media people are just like nerds. I don't have a better way of saying that, but it's like, dude, if you're offended, like Caleb Williams had "fuck Utah," I believe, just written on his fingernails before a game. Like, I just don't buy seats in the front 10 rows near a football sideline if you had disdain for those comments. Like, I get it. I get it. It was not. I'm not on the side that like, yeah, hell yeah, Diego, tell him how it is. Like, I'm not on that side. Like, it wasn't mature. It wasn't great. I wish he wouldn't have done it. I bet he wishes he wouldn't have done it right now. I don't have a direct contact with Diego. I bet he wishes he wouldn't have done it. I don't think he thought the consequences through. But like, come on. Like, at the end of the day, to sum this up, and then we can move on. What we are debating is this giant controversy / scandal is an Instagram story that said F - all the voters. Family over everything, whatever it was. And then a sign at a club. He didn't fight somebody. I just think it's being blown way out of proportion, to use a Trump term. It's a nothing burger. It's a nothing burger. People want their clicks. This was an easy way to get clicks. Kind of anybody telling you different, they're just wanting to get clicks and they're wanting to be on the right side. It feels good when you're like shitting on somebody. It feels good when you got people backing you up and you're just crapping on somebody. Like, that's a good feeling. And I think people fall into that sometimes. Yeah, I just don't think
it's a mob mentality, brother.
Let's move on to some other positive things around Vanderbilt football. That is a negative. Award season. We're still in the middle of award season.
Yes.
Right, the Eddie Robinson Coach of the Year Award. Clark Lee has been named the winner of the Eddie Robinson Coach of the Year Award, the first winner in program history of that award. That award is given to the best coach the best head coach in college football, has been given since 1957. I don't want to misquote this. It's given out by the Football Writers Association of America. Great win for Clark Lee.
Yeah.
Very deserved, especially after being named SEC Coach of the Year for the second consecutive year for Clark Lee. He doesn't have to share it with Shane Beamer this year. I'll tell you that.
Oh,
So
gosh.
2 years in
yeah.
a row for Clark Lee being the coach of the year. Diego Pavia was named SEC Offensive Player of the Year. And our boy, former walk-on, Nick Rinaldi, has been named the Scholar Athlete of the Year by the SEC. So 3 awards from Vanderbilt. Also, were the SEC first, second, and third teams already out?
They were.
When we
Yeah,
were-
yeah. Because I went on a big tangent last week about Jordan White not
Yeah,
being
oh,
on
you're
there.
right.
Yeah.
So on the AP All-American side of things, exactly the same as the SEC, which is whatever to me. But Eli Stowers, first team AP All-American. Shout out to Eli Stowers. Nobody more deserving of being an AP first
Agreed.
team All-American. You want to talk about somebody that you won't find getting a fuck Indiana sign in a club? That would be Eli Stowers. Diego Pavia was named the second team AP All-American, with Fernando Mendoza being named first team. Just a good season, a good award season, or relatively decent so far for Vanderbilt. Just the fact that we're complaining about, oh, they should be getting more recognition. Like, I get it, but man, this program has come a really far way in the last, 18 months, 15 months.
Yeah. That's
It's
a good
kind
way
of
to put
bizarre
it.
sitting where Vanderbilt is right now.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, I have nothing else to add. Eli obviously deserved it. He's the winner of the John Mackey Best Tight End in America. Diego Pavia, of course, I think should have been AP first team, but whatever. I'm not an AP voter. Maybe one day I will be. I won't actually. But overall, yeah, I think there were a couple snubs, mainly Jordan White. I think history is going to look back and be like, wow, we didn't give Jordan White first team anything. I think that'll be a real snub.
Yeah, Jordan White deserves some more credit than he got. He was a hell of an offensive lineman. He will have an NFL career.
He will have a
will say.
long, starting NFL career.
So to get really quickly into this, because there's not much to discuss right before the TDR cocktail break, recent transfer portal activity. Not a lot, but 3 Vanderbilt players have, and one of these was a while back, 3 Vanderbilt players have announced their intention to enter the transfer portal. None of them significant whatsoever. Backup quarterback Drew Dickey, which I think we've touched on.
Mm-hmm.
Another backup quarterback, Jeremy St. Hilaire, 6'4" guy, just never really performed well during camp, never really had a path to see the field. He's entering the portal. And then offensive lineman Misael Sandoval is also entering the portal. So that's where Vanderbilt sits right now in portal activity. 3 guys have entered the portal, all of them significant backup roles. Do you think these guys were kind of told this, or do you think this is speculation from us?
Speculation, I think Jeremy, maybe he was told, but I also could see it doesn't take a brain surgeon to look at his situation and be like, damn, I'm not going to see the field. Because even if they didn't bring in Jared Curtis and they brought in another transfer quarterback to battle with Blaze, that's still, what would that be? 5 quarterbacks in a quarterback room? That's a lot of quarterbacks. So him, I could see it going either way. Sandoval, probably. I think he has real G5 talent, though. I think he could go to a G5 team to start. I really liked his tape whenever they signed him out of high school. And then Drew Dickey, another guy that probably also saw the writing on the wall more than anything, I think. I don't think Dickey got told to leave only because I think a guy with that much experience in the system, even though he might be buried, shit could hit the fan real quick, and you don't want to run off a guy that knows the playbook like the back of his hand. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I don't think Drew Dickey was told. I think Drew Dickey wants to go actually play somewhere.
Yes,
he has experience. He's been a backup, obviously not a problem in the locker room at all, and just a great backup. That's a guy I definitely don't think was told. I think he wants to go actually see the field on Saturday.
Yeah.
So that is it for segment 1. We've touched on the Diego Pavia Heisman controversy. Then we hit on other awards that Vanderbilt has won / been awarded.
Did you see AJ Swan's in the portal again?
I did see that.
Where do you think he's going to go? What if they brought him back to battle Blaze for backup?
AJ Swan, I would bet a lot of money he's not coming back to Vanderbilt.
No, dude.
I'm not sure where he's going to transfer to. I've seen a lot of transfers out of App State. I'm not sure what's going on there.
Yeah, I mean, it's just probably one of those. They're just treating App State like they do every other G5 team, treat them like a farm team. Don't you think?
Probably so.
I don't know. If I had to guess, I'll say he goes back up to the Northeast. I think he'll go back home to Maryland. Not the University of Maryland, but I think he'll be somewhere out, like Delaware. I don't know, go play for the Hens.
We'll see. Not a ton of activity yet in the portal besides DJ Lagway. Florida's quarterback is entering the portal.
Yes, well, and Raiola's in the portal now. There's a lot of like big name. This transfer portal cycle, specifically with quarterbacks, about to be bonkers. Between you got Brendan Sorsby, who looks like he's going to go to Texas Tech. DJ Lagway, a lot of people are going to be bidding for him. Dylan Raiola, where the hell is that kid going to go? Sam Levitt, probably the best quarterback behind Brendan Sorsby in the portal right now. You don't know where he's going to go. A lot of really, really, really good quarterbacks out there.
It's going to be fascinating watching this from the outside. I will say where
yes.
Vanderbilt's not really going to be in contention or need one of these top-level quarterbacks. I could see them bringing in a transfer portal quarterback that's not one of these top-level guys.
Before we move on, and this isn't involved Vanderbilt at all, but I just want to get your input. Why in the hell is Lenora Sellers staying in South Carolina? Does that not just like surprise you a little bit?
Coach continuity, and they have money. I mean, if clearly he does like Shane Beamer.
Does that not feel like a huge mistake, though?
I mean,
if you're Lenora Sellers' dad, I would be like, dude, get the hell out of there.
I mean, yeah, it was a disappointing year for him. I think his might be a case where it's one of the few instances where it's like the grass isn't always greener, but it could be for you kind of situation. Because I am generally of the opinion that a lot of these guys that are already in a Power 4 situation where they, I'm not going to say are guaranteed the starting job, but are in a good position to be the starter, it's not the smartest move to always transfer out. That doesn't seem to always work out.
Yeah, if it ain't
very
broke,
well.
don't fix it.
Kind
But you
of
could make
thing.
the argument like it might be broke in South Carolina.
Yeah, but it might be broke there. There was so much hype for Lenora Sellers going into this year. Like
he was a Heisman front runner.
It's all like we almost forget. Like people have not forgotten about Lagway. Like he's gotten a lot of the attention of how high people were on him before the season started, and he was in Heisman races, and he was like the #1 quarterback or #2 quarterback in the SEC, according to a lot of people's rankings, and he just came out and plain stunk. Lenora Sellers, kind of the same situation, but for whatever reason, DJ Lagway's gotten a lot more of the brunt of it than Lenora Sellers.
Brunt in terms of bad.
It like in terms of like criticism and people talking about it constantly.
Well, I think it's because
because
his turnover numbers were crazy.
Well, it's also I think it's also because Lenora Sellers didn't get his coach fired.
True.
I think that's also.
I think that's very valid. I think it's also probably the fact that it's the University of Florida as opposed to the University of South Carolina.
That's probably true.
A much bigger brand.
That's probably true to an extent. All right, everybody out there, grab yourself a delicious hot or cold beverage, and we will be back right after the TDR cocktail break. Welcome back into episode 346 of the Door Report, and welcome back from the TDR cocktail break. We are now in segment 2. To start off, new motion, new NCAA legal stuff going on. We're not going to dig into that on this episode because we have lawyers that help us out with that. George Barclay has an incredible article, and multiple articles actually, breaking down what is currently going on. The article is titled Takeaways from Redshirt Rule Motion Hearing. Check that out on thedoreport.com if you want the latest of the legal landscape of college athletics. The Langston Patterson lawsuit, additional eligibility, basically surrounding the redshirt rule versus 5 years of eligibility. I cannot explain it as well as George Barclay did in that article. So anything that I say is just going to be a pale approximation of what is in that article from George, and everybody say thank you, George, for the amount of time and effort that he's put into this. I read the article; it's phenomenal, and I do have a better understanding. It's just anything I say on here is not going to be equivalent of the breakdown that he gave on thedoreport.com. So check that out. A lot of things going on that will impact the upcoming years of college athletics, and there's no better place to stay updated than thedoreport.com or just On3 in general. But here at thedoorreport.com, I think we do a hell of a job.
I think so too.
Better than anywhere with national writers breaking this down, because they're not lawyers. The
Mhm.
national writers are not lawyers. We have a lawyer and multiple lawyers helping review these articles. It's kind of a fun little extra thing that we have here at the Door Report. It's kind of unique, I will say.
The TDR legal team.
The TDR difference. All right, so that's enough of that. Let's get to hoops. We have not talked near enough hoops. We should have talked much more Vanderbilt basketball, both men's and women's, than we have. Granted, we never talk a lot of women's basketball, I will say, but the women's basketball team is hooping. Number 13 in the country. Also, men's basketball, number 13 in the country, according to the AP poll. Recently, Vanderbilt beat Central Arkansas 83-72 after a 10-day layoff. Not the best performance from Vanderbilt basketball. And if you listen to Mark Byington's comments and reaction after the game, he also understands not the best performance from Vanderbilt basketball. He basically said that everybody but Tyler Nickel kind of sleptwalked through the game. Central Arkansas is not a good team.
No.
Vanderbilt should have beaten them by more than 11. Granted, they were up like 20 with, I think, 6 or 7 minutes left, and Vanderbilt kind of had a sloppy closeout to that game. But Vanderbilt was a 36.5-point favorite in that game. They should have beaten Central Arkansas by more than 11. Tyler Nickel had a career high of 30 points in that game. Really, really performed well, but they had 10 days off, and it showed. Unfortunately, that game was being broadcast at the same exact time as the Heisman Trophy presentation. So I watched the first, I want to say, 15, 16 minutes of game action, and then watched maybe the last 8 minutes of game action because I was watching the Heisman Trophy presentation outside of that. But not the best performance from Vanderbilt, but they are 10-0 and one of only 7 undefeated teams left in college basketball. Do you know what the other 7 teams are?
I know Nebraska.
I should have looked this up before.
Arizona.
Okay. Duke, Nebraska, Maryland, Arizona, Michigan, Iowa State, Vanderbilt.
Is that Maryland or is that Miami of Ohio?
Oh, that might be Miami of Ohio. You might be right. I think that is Miami of Ohio. That's on me. I'm sorry, Miami of Ohio.
I don't know. They have very similar.
Let me
check
look.
that. I saw that M and I was like, is that Miami of Ohio? I think it might be. I don't think Maryland is undefeated, but I could be wrong.
Maryland is definitely not undefeated.
Yeah.
They are 6-5. So that is Miami of Ohio.
Miami
they do have
Ohio.
very similar logos. Very similar logos. Yep. Miami of Ohio is undefeated, and they are currently up by 9 against Wright State with 2.5 minutes left in their game. So Miami of Ohio, not Maryland. But Vanderbilt is one of the 7 remaining undefeated teams in college basketball. They are currently 11th in KenPom, 7th in the latest NCAA net rankings. And coming up on the schedule tomorrow/today, when you are listening to this at release, they are going to be traveling to Memphis to take on the Memphis Tigers, who have had a pretty disappointing year so far. What is their record?
They're 4-5, I believe.
Not the start that Penny Hardaway wanted.
They should have fired Penny a long time ago. Did you know this is his 9th season?
I did not know that.
It is his 9th season at Memphis, I believe. It does not feel like he's been in Memphis for 9 years.
So Memphis is 4-1 at home. I will give that to them as well. And Vanderbilt is traveling there, I believe. I'm right on that.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
That is correct. Yes, they will be at – they still play at FedEx? I'm pretty positive they still play at FedEx where the Grizz play.
Yeah, that game is at 6 p.m. on ESPN2. Memphis currently sitting at 4-5. I had it pulled up in one of my 38,000 tabs here. They started out the season beating San Francisco and then lost 4 straight to Ole Miss, UNLV, number 1 Purdue, and Wake Forest, who Vanderbilt also has up on the 21st of December. Another good matchup against a power conference team, major conference team. Then Memphis went on to beat Southern Illinois, New Orleans, Baylor, and then lost to number 11, Louisville, 99-73. So this is going to be a good test for Vanderbilt basketball, who I believe they do still have 4 quad 1 wins.
That's correct.
But this is a very talented and athletic Memphis team that has not performed up to the expectations so far. That's a dangerous team.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a real good test. I think the initial line I saw, BetMGM doesn't do day before college basketball lines, but I think I saw, according to DraftKings or FanDuel, one of the two, that Vanderbilt's a 7.5-point favorite on the road against Memphis. So
That feels about right.
that feels about right. And then, of course, Wake Forest on Sunday, the 21st at noon. That's another big matchup for Vanderbilt. Wake Forest had a very tight matchup or very tight win against Memphis earlier in the season.
I hate Sunday basketball games. I hate Sunday college basketball games.
During NFL season. Yeah.
Well, it's just even if it's not NFL season, just Sunday at noon does not feel like the time to when college basketball should be played. Do you know what I mean?
You're not wrong. It's just when it's Sunday at noon battling with NFL football, that's when it's maybe not the best.
Yeah.
Next up, all we have left is premium message board questions. You ready to dive into those?
I'm ready.
All right, let's see what we got. Whew. Deep breath. You never know what we're getting. GLH 4VU regular poster, a Heisman on the board. When you look at this men's basketball team, what do you think needs to improve the most the rest of the season to be a top 4 seed in the NCAA tournament, meaning one of the top 16 teams? I would just say my initial take is it's not going to be the scoring. It's not going to be the guard defense. I think just interior, just generally interior scoring, interior defense, rebounding. That's the thing that hasn't been fully tested so far, and that will be tested in SEC play.
I was going to say my number one thing is the front court defense needs to improve. Is that front court defense needs to improve drastically.
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious. Jalen Washington has done well so far, but they haven't exactly faced dominant post play thus far.
And I'm afraid whenever it gets into SEC play that more physical 4s and 5s are going to be able to have their way down low.
Goes on to ask, do you still think football ends the season ranked higher in the AP than basketball?
I'm going to say no now. I think Vandy's got I think they have a damn good basketball team.
I think that football will end higher this season.
Basketball?
Yes.
Even
I think
with the way the SEC is performing right now?
Well, because I'm probably going to predict a Vanderbilt win over Iowa to give a bit of a spoiler. I think Vanderbilt might end up close to top 10 in the AP poll to close out the season. And I'm not sure Vanderbilt basketball will be a top 10 team. I think they will be more in that 15 to 22 range, if I had to guess where they would end.
Really?
We'll see. They do have 4 Q1 wins. I will say that Vanderbilt basketball schedule has not been taxing thus far whatsoever.
I agree with that, but dude, whenever I look at the SEC right now, I'm not sure there's a better team in the SEC than Vanderbilt. Like, I know Alabama had a really tough game against Arizona, but like I look at that opening matchup against Alabama, I'm like, this is very winnable for Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not taking a definitive side on either. I just got to answer the question. So
Yeah,
I'm going to say
right,
football is
right,
going to
right.
be ranked higher, but I'm not like 100%. I wouldn't put money on it.
Yeah.
Say that.
Yeah, okay. I'll go basketball. I think basketball could finish top 10.
I like that. Currently, football and men's and women's basketball are ranked in the AP top 15, and the Vandy boys will likely be preseason top 15. And they all have elite coaches who I believe are locked up for the foreseeable future. Do you think this could be / should be the new normal for Vanderbilt sports? I will push back. I'm not so sure Byington is locked in 100%. I will say I think Shea Ralph is, obviously Tim Corbin is, and I think Clark Lee is as well with the extension he just signed. Byington just has no ties to Vanderbilt, and he will be a very, very highly sought after guy by elite programs once they start letting head coaches go. So
I would agree with that.
now
actually.
Vanderbilt's a
Yeah.
much more appealing basketball job than they're a football job. So it's going to take a hell of a program and a hell of an offer to get him to go somewhere. But I think he potentially could be poached. Now, the new normal, I will say the new normal is going to be way better than what it has been in the past. Now, all 4 major sports being ranked in the top 15, that's not normal for any program in the country to have that. We are just kind of in the golden age right now, so to speak. But I think overall with NIL, it's hard to argue that there's any program or athletic department in the country that's benefited more from the implementation of NIL
Than Vanderbilt. I agree with that.
I mean, it's kind of changed everything for them.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't know if this is the new normal. However, I would say the new normal is that you expect to win. And championships, whether that be bowl for football, bowls for basketball, routinely making maybe even the Sweet 16. I think that could be the new norm. And of course, for the Vandy boys, the expectation is supers and national championships.
Yeah. Vandy boys' expectation hasn't changed. That's the only one that hasn't changed.
Yeah.
Making it to Omaha is the standard. And then GLH4VU to close it out says, just a statement. Diego Pavia has earned the right to say what he wants. He's authentically himself and doesn't give a damn what anyone thinks. I have no issues with what he said or what he did. His attitude, personality, and belief in himself almost single-handedly turned the program around, and I wouldn't trade him for anyone else in the country. He recruited Curtis. He loves Lee. He's hyped this team and program up and set a foundation for years to come. So fuck the voters. You know, I get what he's saying, and I like that from a fan perspective. I do. Like, back your guy. Like, what he has done for this program, he deserves to have defense from fans. But at the same time, it's like you can also have that feeling and also be like, come on, Diego. Like, you can think through the consequences of your actions. Like, all this other stuff, practicing kneel downs to Brian Denny, which he does before every game, grabbing his crotch at the student section, like stuff like that. This is one that's like, this wasn't on the field during the game. This wasn't during a podcast interview hyping up your team. This was kind of just something that you did lashing out after you were runner-up in the Heisman. Like, there's somewhere in between there that I sit where it's like, I'm not just like, I know you're different.
Yeah, I'm team GLH4VU on this one. I'm also like, the dude pissed on the New Mexico State logo. Just New Mexico logo impromptly. This does not shock me. So yeah, I'm team GLH4VU on this one.
Yeah, that I think there's an in between that I kind of sit in. You love the personality stuff, but at the same time, you got to have an understanding of like, this is something that can only have a negative impact kind of thing. This isn't something that's going to hype up your teammates. Next up, World's Strongest Vandy Fan. I love how the colleges of Bob Knight and Tony Vitello. Before I read the rest of this, I will say there are programs and fans of teams that can lecture about class, respect, all of those things, how you conduct yourself. Indiana is not one of them. This is a fan base that still idolizes Bobby Knight, who choked out a player on video, verifiably grabbed a player's throat and shoved him backwards. They can keep that to themselves. The Indiana fan base has zero room to discuss anything of class, how you conduct yourself. You supported Bob Knight, who I love Bob Knight, by the way, but he was no saint. What are you doing?
This is also the same fan base that stalked Romeo Langford during his basketball recruitment. You remember that?
I do.
Stalked him. That was a banger tweet by me whenever they were like, class. And I was like, we want to bring up Bob Knight. That got them pissed.
Yeah, it's just like Bob Knight was a great coach. He was not a good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah.
So yeah, don't lecture me on, oh, you're supporting a douchebag. Well, you're supporting
a grown man who acted like a 13-year-old child throwing chairs as a head coach, which I like. I'm going to tell you, but he acted like a 13-year-old as a 60-year-old man, 50-year-old man. So let's stop criticizing the 23-year-old maybe for having a sign after he comes runner-up in the Heisman. But
Diego ain't ever choked nobody out.
He goes on to say, I love how colleges of Bob Knight and Tony Vitello, amongst 50 other examples I could give for that school, are the ones who belong the top pearl clutchers about Pavia's outbursts. Dude got robbed, plain and simple. Forgive him for doing something stupid in the moment on social media of all places. Would you rather he throw a chair or run around the bases flipping the outfield off? Seems more in line with the morality of both of those fan bases. Also, if you are an in-state Heisman voter and you voted for anyone but Pavia, you should have your vote taken away. CC. AS, which is Adam Sparks. You voted that way because your butt hurt. He torched your Vols. Defend it all you want, but we know exactly the type of people we are dealing with. This is why I have zero issue with Diego's us against the world mentality. No other Heisman finalist would have had an in-state voters turn on him. Even when Newton won or Bryce Young, the Auburn and Bama guys still protected their own. When it comes to the rest of the league, it's SEC, SEC, SEC. When it's Vandy having success, they find every way to ding us or screw us over. See the sudden acknowledgement of baseball as a legitimate sport by those out east, despite their despicable claims of, quote, I cheer for Vandy when it's not against my team. Yeah, right. The second we step above our pre-assigned doormat status, y'all get scared. And the way I've seen Southern/Tennessee-based voters suddenly become the biggest OSU and Indiana bumpers in the nation proves it to me. Yeah.
That's a great post. I totally agree with everything that was said. And he's got a great point. That was a great post.
Yeah, there's been other people that have criticized, like, yeah, Diego Pavia is just a spoiled guy that's never been told no. I'm like, no, he's the way he is because all he's been told
is no. Yeah.
It's the opposite. And then I saw people comparing him. And number one, I will say, I don't have any issue with Shedeur Sanders. Like, I want to get that out here.
Oh, yeah. I have no issue with Shedeur Sanders either.
Yeah, never had an issue with him. But I saw people like, he's this year's Shedeur Sanders. I'm like, no, Shedeur Sanders was a whole day. He got hate because people thought he was being overhyped and hyped up because of who his dad was. And his dad was his coach. And that's why he was being hyped up and discussed how he was. And there was baggage of family and the hype train behind Deion Sanders and things like that. It's a very incomparable thing to compare Diego Pavia and Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
Diego Pavia is the opposite of a silver spoon guy. Like, literally not one They really tried to hype up the Mendoza underdog story of going to 17 camps, and they really slipped in there. Didn't receive a single Power 4 offer until late. They really slipped in the Power 4. He had plenty of offers from G5 schools. They really slipped in the major program part of that. Diego Pavia is the underdog of the story. Had no FBS offers. Went to New Mexico Military Institute after winning a JUCO national championship. Basically, his only offers were Jackson State to be the backup to Shedeur or New Mexico State. And those were his only options. And then he transfers over to Vanderbilt. There's no daddy in the background pulling the strings and making sure things go well for Diego Pavia. He's the opposite of entitled or spoiled. He's the way he is because all he's been told is, no, you're not good enough. You're not big enough. That's all he's been told. So, yeah, of course, he's a little rough around the edges when you're told constantly. And all offseason was clowned for even talking about the fact that he was the best player in the country. Was literally laughed at by Paul Feinbaum on SEC Network about talking about this team competing at the highest level, potentially for a championship. And then Vanderbilt goes 10-2. Like, there's a reason Pavia is the way he is. And I'm not saying it justifies any of that, but, like, there's a logical train you got to go down of, like, there's a reason that he's a little rough and maybe not the most trained in PR. Next up from FTV Anchor Down. FTV Anchor Down. Do you think Pavia's actions will put a black eye on the program in the eyes of the admin and make them refrain from future big-time investments into football, similar to the end of the Franklin era? FYI, in my opinion, Pavia's antics make him the player that he is with the dog mentality. I don't really have a problem with it. I think he was totally screwed out of votes due to his personality, and if voters really think Mendoza is better than Pavia, then they need their voting rights revoked. Also, can you decode my username?
What's his username?
FTV Anchor Down.
Oh, yeah.
I think we can decode that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys out there can figure that one out for yourselves.
Yeah, it doesn't take a brain surgeon.
But back to the initial question, which is a good question we kind of discussed earlier.
That's my biggest fear, is to be totally transparent, is that the BOT and the folks at Kirkland who don't give a rip about sports anyway would look at this one instance and be like, yeah, maybe we should back away from football investment. Maybe we should back away from just overall athletics investment in general. Maybe we should go back to having like this scholar over athlete type scholar athlete in the building. That's my biggest fear, and I hope they don't do it. Though, I think with somebody like Daniel Diermeyer at the top and at the head of the ship, I'm not as worried as I would be as opposed to if it was like Zeppos and David Williams. And I think the pieces are in play for Vanderbilt to still continue this momentum forward.
Yeah, that is the major concern out of this. I don't care as like a person about it, but Vanderbilt for the first time is actually investing in athletics. And you finally are allowing guys in with kind of these more bold personalities and that you need to be successful as a football program. You need personalities like this. That would be my main concern. So, yeah, there is the fear of that. I'm hoping that does not happen. Because Jared Curtis is not Diego Pavia, but he's got a little bit
He's got some piss and vinegar in
Yeah.
him.
He's got a little bit of that underdog mentality, even though it's more of we'll say a created underdog personality because he is the number 1 quarterback in the country. So it's a little bit different than how Diego Pavia got to that. Diego Pavia is just a true underdog story. Like, I hate to tell you, the scrappy underdogs that make it from people telling them no and no and no don't have a movie personality. They have a screw loose. Like, that's how you get there. When you have literally hundreds of people that are scouts and people in that industry telling you, no, man, you just don't have it. Like, and you push through anyway. That takes a very unique personality that has some drawbacks to it to get there. Because you probably are just like this total belief in your actions. And that's the only way you can possibly get there. Because if you were a logical person and you're Diego Pavia, you would not be the runner-up in the Heisman Trophy. If you're a logical person, you would have quit a long time ago. If you were logical and didn't have this wholehearted belief in yourself. Next up, we have the Common Man's Commodore 95.
Hell yeah.
Dearest Mother. After bravely marching through the rugged mountains of Smoky and putting belt to ass on their inhabitants, countering the assaults of Twitter warriors, enduring dishonor from a society that likens itself to a superior order, embracing and championing the notion of being a we love playing football institution, and apologizing to the Charmin soft world for our dissatisfaction with second place in a skewed voting system, there comes a moment of quiet reflection. Here in this void, our ranks grow stronger, swifter, and more skilled, readying ourselves for the inevitable clash against an unfamiliar opponent, the Hawkeye. We seek steadfast resolve and unwavering focus on our aim. To what aim, you ask? It is to demonstrate to a foolish committee that this Vanderbilt football regime is a force to be reckoned with, a truth that shall not waver in years to come. As always, anchor down, Admiral C.
He doesn't miss.
He doesn't miss.
He doesn't miss.
Friedis Boss says, will you and Trevor be more basketball heavy than in past years? I kind of get the sense that both of y'all are big football guys, but don't care too much about hoops. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Is that fair? No. I'm a big basketball guy. And we do talk a lot of basketball, specifically men's basketball. But we do talk a lot. That was my sport growing up. It's just this season with football, the obvious storylines are football. But yeah, we're going to get a lot more basketball heavy.
Yeah, shout out to my dog, Friedis Boss. During basketball season, we routinely have like hour and a half, 2 hour long pods about men's basketball.
Yeah, the
Interesting.
the smashed
Interesting.
bobblehead incident was not a bobblehead of Derek Mason or Clark Lee. That was Jerry Stackhouse.
Yeah.
We are big basketball guys here. We've been accused of baseball. This is the first time
We've been accused of like not being. We've had numerous people tell us stop talking about basketball. Start talking about baseball.
Yeah, but yeah,
That's a new one to me.
yeah, that's not something we've been accused of before.
I have big basketball guys. I have season tickets to men's basketball.
Yeah,
I'm
I
at
don't-
every men's basketball game.
yeah. If I can help it, and outside of circumstances like the Heisman Trophy presentation or having to be on a work trip, like I don't miss a second of basketball.
Yeah.
Like we will get into basketball.
That's a strange one.
You're going to be sick of us talking about basketball to an extent. You're going to want us to shift to baseball.
I didn't think Friedis was a new listener. Is Friedis a new listener?
I don't know. I didn't think he was.
I thought he was a seasoned veteran. Okay.
Yeah, no, we talk a lot of basketball. Don't
All
you
right.
worry. Unabridged. Which player, offensive and defensively, impressed you the most relative to expectations? Which player disappointed you? It's a good question, actually.
Offensively, Junior Sherrill, impressive. Defensively, Jordan Matthews, impressive. Disappointed.
And this is relative to expectations.
Okay, well, I'm going to give a guy that didn't see the field at all, and it's hard to blame him because he did battle with injuries. Disappointment. I'm going to say Trent Hudson on offense. I don't know if that's a cop out, and on defense, Keanu Coote.
Yeah, I will say the impressive on offense. I mean, this is kind of simple, but for me, Trey Richardson.
Right.
I just didn't know what Trey. I thought he was going to be a gadget guy. And turns out he's a true wide receiver number 2 who made some incredibly key plays throughout the season. On defense, I would have said Jordan Matthews, but you took him. I'll say relative to my expectations, Colby Taylor.
Good one.
Was
Good
so
one.
much better than I expected him to be throughout this season. Kept his emotions under control, and turned out to be a solid corner. Not great, but relative to expectations is what we're talking here. Disappointed me. That's where it's a little tougher. Yeah, you took Trent Hudson. That would be the obvious one. He just didn't see the field, and I thought he would be an impact guy that Pavia had some chemistry with. AJ Newberry, maybe, but that was another situation of just not being on the field.
And he was battling injury
for
fall camp.
Yeah, so probably AJ Newberry or Trent Hudson, but it's not. They just kind of got lost in the shuffle and were battling injuries the majority of the season. Maybe Bryson Coleman, but he was also battling injuries.
Yeah.
So, but Bryson Coleman, I thought would have somewhat of a breakout this year. He did have that one big touchdown catch against Virginia Tech, but you just didn't see much of him throughout the season.
That's a tough one.
Defensively disappointing. Keanu Coots, yeah. I mean, I won't even say I had high expectations of like his ceiling, but I didn't know if he would actually come out and do it, because there's probably a reason that a 5-star leaves a program like Alabama, and because he's maybe not a true 5-star. Disappointed on defense relative to expectations. I had a relatively low expectations for this defense going into the season. Maybe Dante Carter. I thought he would make more serious impact plays than he did, but he wasn't bad. Like, it wasn't like I was like, damn, Dante Carter stinks. Like, that's
interesting, because I thought he was.
Well, Keanu Coots my answer, but I'm trying to come up with my second answer.
Yeah, I thought Dante was like a top 2 safety on this team, to be quite honest. I thought it was him and Hurd. I thought they were the best 2 safeties.
Maybe you could say, if we're talking relative to expectations, genuinely, maybe Martell Height. Not even because he was bad at all. That's not what I'm
a good
saying.
one.
But I thought Martell Height had potential to be like a first or second team
All-American.
And he just wasn't that. He was fine, but he wasn't that. So maybe relative to expectations, I'll say Martell Height.
I think that's a good one, actually.
Kodak Black and Gold. Realistically, where do you see the future with Byington? Do you think we'll be able to keep him around, or will the name become too hot? That's just a good question.
That's a great question.
That's $1 million question.
And that's something that, unfortunately, like, I don't think I can answer. I'm going to go ahead, and if you haven't already planned for this, then go ahead and start planning. There's going to be a lot of rumors about Mark Byington leaving Vanderbilt this offseason.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he's going to be the hottest name in college basketball.
100%.
So just go ahead and prep yourself for it. It's going to be a rough first couple weeks of offseason for Vanderbilt hoops.
Yeah. And the weird part of it, or not weird, but the difference with Vanderbilt hoops is they are probably a lot more in that second tier of programs than like how football is. Like, you're going to have to get an offer from an elite level program to leave Vanderbilt basketball. It's a little bit different, but he can be poached, and he's going to be the talk in any of these major jobs that open up. And we just don't know what those are going to be at this point. But yeah, there should be a slight bit of concern from Vanderbilt fans about Mark Byington. He's not like Clark Lee. He does not have ties to Vanderbilt in that way. I'm going to go use the bathroom real quick. So everybody out there, quick pause right now. Welcome back from the TDR P break. All right, we are back. All right, back to premium.
A different kind of cocktail break. But
damn, he can't miss, guys. The hot dogs have him on edge, and he can't miss.
God, yeah, I'm gonna be honest, y'all. This has been one of my worst episodes. I feel, just because I keep thinking about these hot dogs tomorrow. I'm totally transparent.
All right, next up from Vandy Door. Have y'all ever considered taking a vacation and turning the TDR podcast over to guest hosts for that week?
No,
I've not. No one else has access to the TDR channels outside of me. So if I die, TDR dies, unfortunately. So no, we have not done that.
Also, we use my personal phone and laptop to record, and sorry, I'm not handing those over to somebody.
Vacations? Vacations are for the week. Rest for the week. What are we talking about?
Anytime either one of us have been out of town, we've had to be like, okay, one of us is leaving this day. Okay, we're gonna have to record at the we always maneuver it around because I'm sorry, yeah. It's like that Joe Rogan thing to where that one guy was like, I get to produce your show for a week. He's like, there's not enough money in the world. There's nothing you could offer me that would be worth you producing the show. I'm sorry, there's nothing you could offer me that would be worth somebody co-hosting the show.
Yeah.
I hate to be that guy. I don't mean to sound full of myself. There's nothing you could offer me.
No. Vacations. No, not even a thought. There's no vacation from Vanderbilt sports. What are you talking about?
We have at one time kicked around the idea of, because both of our fathers are diehard old head Vandy fans. So we're like, what if one episode we just have both of our fathers on and they just we don't give them prompts or anything. And we're just just start talking.
Well, if you talk to my dad about Vanderbilt, you're just going to hear a lot of exactly what I say.
My dad will tell you a bunch of old stories from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. So story time with Tommy.
Maybe Matt and Shane's secret podcast. They just had Phil Gillis on pretty recently.
Oh my
Jesus
God,
Christ, Phoebe.
Phoebe just jumped up onto, how tall would you say that is? That's 7.5 feet.
Probably 7 feet.
Our 7 foot tall bookshelf.
Yeah, she gets up there and gets stuck.
So
and you have to get her down.
I'm gonna have to stand. I'm gonna have to get up from the pod in a couple minutes because she's gonna be meow, meow. It's like when a cat climbs a tree and they're like, "Man, this is awesome! I can get up here." Ooh, shit! I can't get. down.
She jumps up from the back of the couch, but then can't jump back down. So she gets stuck up there, and this is a consistent problem. We have our damn producer can't wrangle her in. It's another part. You wouldn't have this producing quality if we took a week.
Yeah,
off.
if we gave it over to guess who the hell's going to produce the pod, because you're sure as hell not getting my cat.
Next up from Dad went to Vandy. Do you think Pavia's controversy will reflect negatively on Vanderbilt athletics in any meaningful way going forward, or is this just a headline that means nothing long term?
Headline that means nothing long term.
I mean, I think some average people will be like, "Screw that Pavia guy," and 3 years, but generally this is, guys, I'm not meaning to bring up bad stuff, but let's keep in mind what Vanderbilt went through after the James Franklin era, and people have forgotten about that to a large extent. There was a gigantic sexual assault scandal that was semi covered up by James Franklin to we don't know what extent because he left for Penn State. This is 1% the actual impact on any this is just a headline thing. It is what it is. It got a lot of clicks because Diego Pavia is a huge name. That's what it is. And it's easy to jump into the masses and get your clicks and get your likes and get your moral grandstanding likes, and you're a good guy for standing up for this, whatever.
Guys, this will be forgotten about in about a week.
Yep.
Probably less, actually. People will not remember this by the time
the moment the college football playoff begins.
Friday. Nobody will remember this.
Yeah, because it's a nothing burger. It is. Now, if Pavia had gotten up, like I said earlier, in the middle of Mendoza's speech and stormed out, now that would have been bad. That's a different type of
Donald
thing.
Trump's tweet about Rob Reiner probably did Diego Pavia some
his
favors.
Truth Social post. Sorry.
That was one of the most God,
insane.
I'm not trying to get off topic. You guys know my political leanings. I am a communist. That was such, and I'm not a Trump guy, as you know. That was such a bonkers post that I saw that and I go, Donald Trump didn't post this. He said some stuff. He would never say this. I screenshot it and ran it through AI, and they're like, no, this is real. And I went back and saw the White House had posted about it. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, if you guys don't know what we're referring to,
a real post.
Look it up on Twitter. And as people that listen and have listened for a long time know, I'm maybe the opposite of Trevor on a lot of political stuff. That was insane. I don't have to give caveats. That was just insane. Also, Rob Reiner rocks as an actor, and
one of the best producers, directors. When Harry Met
Sally,
Sally,
wasn't he the one that did Stand By Me as well?
Yes, Stand By Me. Stand By Me when Harry Met Sally.
Either Stand By Me or The Shining are the two best Stephen King adaptations of his books by far. But R.I.P. Rob Reiner.
Yeah,
incredible.
Great in
Jess's dad on New Girl.
Street.
Incredible as Jess's dad on New Girl. Great on Wolf of Wall Street. Just R.I.P. Very sad story with that. I don't know how that got brought up.
Because we were talking about how short how like a short attention
yeah,
span
yeah.
median like people on the internet have.
The second part of the question from Dad went to Vandy. And do you understand the hatred for him coming from the other fan bases? Parentheses, I saw a 50,000 like TikTok basically saying, thank God he didn't win, which surprised me. I fully, like, on the two sides of the coin are hate and love. That's how it always is.
Mhm.
If you're not getting hate, that means you're not getting people that love you. If you're getting people that love you, that means you're getting people that hate you. And so, no, it doesn't. I didn't realize how large of a scale I actually hated Pavia.
I didn't either.
But at the same time, it's not like it came as a shock to me or anything. Like,
Yeah.
Pavia is who Pavia is. He's a controversial personality to begin with. I just didn't realize that it was such a large grand scale. And it's probably because a lot of the people criticizing were almost saying it is. I saw a tweet from a Vanderbilt fan that was like, love him or hate him, you watch, quoting the great Pete Weber.
Yeah.
Greatest bowler
Vandy
of all time.
tracker.
But somebody tweeted something along those lines. People like, commenting like he sucks, and then the same person like, I didn't watch one snap actually. It's like, well, then that explains why you hate him so much. Like, if you didn't watch him, then you can't say he sucks. Like, I'm sorry. Also, he doesn't suck. Like, the runner-up in the Heisman, I hate to tell you, doesn't suck at the game of football.
Yeah.
I hate to tell you. That's not one runner-up in the history of the Heisman has sucked at football. I hate to break that to people out there. So Pavia's
That's kind of the whole point of the Heisman.
He's a damn good player with a controversial personality, and if whatever fan base is shitting on him would love him inside of their fan base. But all that said, we've given our takes on this. Next up from D. Whitworth 96. Firstly, it was good to meet you at the game the other night. Will. Still mad at Trevor for not answering his DMs so I can meet him too. Damn, Trevor, you're not a man of the people. I met him. You didn't. I'm a man of the people. You're not a man of the people.
What DM? Did he Twitter or?
He can reach out on the board.
Shit. I'm sorry, dude. I wasn't at that. I wasn't at that game.
You were at that game because I was at it and I saw you back there.
Right. Sorry, I was at that game then. Sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I would have loved to have met you. I sit in section 2L, row 5, seat 52 and 53. Please come find me whenever you want.
First, he says, secondly, I have two questions. It was great to meet you, by the way.
I would have loved to meet you, D. Whitworth, 96.
Secondly, I have two questions. One, what is both of y'all's final record prediction for men's basketball? It's a good question. It's tough with where the SEC is sitting. If I had to predict right now, 24-7. If I just had to pull a number out, somewhere between 26-5 and 24-7.
I was going to go 26-5.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm sitting. I've got to see how the SEC shapes out more. I know they've taken a step back from last year. I'm not so sure I'm sold on the SEC just being abysmally down.
That's valid. Yeah.
I think they've definitely taken a step back from the best college basketball conference of all time last season, which is not universally, but almost universally agreed upon.
I don't know how you could disagree metrics wise.
But I've just got to see how more of the SEC shapes out. Like, I don't think Tennessee's a bad basketball team.
Speaking of Tennessee, I just checked my watch. They just got a big win against Louisville.
Okay,
so
that's a big one.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think Tennessee's a bad basketball team.
I don't think Tennessee's bad at all.
I think Kentucky's insanely talented, and if they can get things on the right track, they're going to be really good. But right now, they don't have things on the right track. Alabama, I think, is really talented. Auburn, I have no idea what to think about Auburn.
I think Auburn actually sucks.
They might.
I think Auburn sucks.
Yeah, I don't know. Florida, I think
Arkansas,
Florida's pretty good.
Fine team.
Yeah, there are enough good teams that I've just got to see more of the season shape out to be definitive. But those
South Carolina sucks.
Yeah, that range is kind of what I'm looking at. Number 2, I know y'all cover a lot, but any chance y'all start covering women's basketball too? Those women are elite and undefeated, and Michaela Blakes may go down as the best basketball player Vandy has ever had if she stays her full career. They deserve a little love too. Thanks, guys. I will say we got old Colin Bryant on some more women's basketball coverage. So I reached out to him earlier today because I did see this question and a few other comments. He is going to be writing some more women's basketball content. I'm going to be honest, I've never lied to anybody out there about I just don't watch women's basketball. So I know I'll watch a little bit like every now and then. I just don't watch women's basketball. So I know Michaela Blakes is a dog. I know Shea Ralph is a hell of a coach. If I talked about it, I'd just be talking out of my ass. And like, I just don't watch. I'm not an alumni of the university. And to be honest, all of you out there, if you actually cared about women's basketball, the metrics would look a lot different on the women's basketball articles as well. So yeah, I mean, we will. We have somebody, Colin Bryant, who watches every second of women's basketball. Brian Carlson does a great job. He watches a lot of women's.
Alex watches a
Yeah.
lot of women's
So
basketball.
we will get more content. Right now, we are just really stuck quite a bit in the football news cycle, and that will change very soon.
Yeah, and then we're going to be stuck very heavily into the men's basketball cycle, and then it's going to just roll right into baseball.
And then the summer of death that always approaches.
Gosh.
Next question from regular poster. Yet another door lawyer says, Sketch had a bunch of content come out last week about his time with Diego in Nashville. Do you think people like him are distractions or a net positive to the publicity of Vandy football? I think net positive.
The Vanderbilt went 10-2. How could that be a distraction?
Especially with Vanderbilt going into the ReliaQuest Bowl versus going to the CFP. Like, I think that this year, that was talked about all season with Theo Vaughn, Sketch, other people that showed up, celebrities that showed up. Like, if you have the right team and the right mentality and the right coach, Vanderbilt needs to lean into that stuff because Vanderbilt's not coming from the same place as Florida or even like Auburn or hell, even like Ole Miss or Missouri. They need to do more of this. They've actively gone against this for years. So they need all of the promotion they can possibly get, especially to internet famous people that have a relatively younger audience. They really need to make inroads. There's like maybe not diehard Vanderbilt fans, but people are like, yeah, I like Vanderbilt. Yeah, I like it. They need as much of that as they can possibly get. Vanderbilt is in such a unique position. They're like Rutgers maybe is another one. Like they need all of the positive marketing tools they can possibly get. So
yeah, I totally agree.
Nothing but positive on my side. Red Door. Men's basketball is currently projected to be a 3 seed. Where do you think they end up, and what's the highest seed Vandy has ever been in the tournament? That's a good question.
I'm going to be honest with you here, guys. I'm not saying they will. I think this could be a 1 seed team. I really do, guys. I think this is a really, really, really good basketball team. I think also whenever you look at the competition of the other, I know it's early, but projected 1 seeds, I think Vanderbilt is right up there with them. If you look at any metric, particularly like offensive and defensive performance ratings, Vanderbilt is a top 10 team in the nation in all of those metrics. Vanderbilt is the number 1 team in the SEC whenever it comes to offensive and defensive performance rating. Tyler Tanner is a top 10 player in the nation whenever you look at O&D rating. I don't know, man. I think as long as they stay healthy and as long as they handle business, I don't see why this can't be a 1 seed team. Now, the argument will be they haven't played anybody, and that's very valid. Very, very valid. But there's a lot of other teams that haven't played anybody, and they've got losses on their schedule, and Vanderbilt doesn't. So sort of where I'm at.
Vanderbilt was a 3 seed in the 1992-1993 season. And they were 4 seeds multiple times in the mid-2000s with Kevin Stallings as the head coach. They were a 4 seed in 2009, 2010, as well as a 4 seed in 2007-08. So a 3 seed is the highest that I can find Vanderbilt ever being in the NCAA tournament. If I had to predict where they'd end up, I'm going to say a 5 seed. If I just had to predict right now and I had to put $1,000 on it, I would guess a 5 seed. I mean, if the SEC is as down as we think it is, and I mean, Vanderbilt's not going to sweep through the SEC, like that's going to impact their strength of schedule. And Vanderbilt has a very weak strength of schedule in non-con. So maybe 4, but I'm going to say 4 or 5 seed, somewhere in there if I had to put money on it right now. But yeah, they have the potential to be a top 2 or 3 seed. I don't think 1 seed, but I think they have the potential to be a 2 or 3 seed.
Gun to my head right now, if I had to put 1,000, I'd put them at a 3.
Okay. Not too far off.
No. I'm very, guys, you're going to hear about it. You're going to get sick of it. I'm very high on this basketball team right now. I'm very high on this team.
Red Door goes on to ask, currently Vanderbilt is one of only 3 schools with both men's basketball and women's basketball teams undefeated, along with Iowa State and Nebraska. Have we ever had both teams go undefeated and out of conference play before? I do not know.
I do not know that either.
I kind of doubt it, but I do not know. I'll dig into
because also, like, we have to remember, like, historically, like, Vanderbilt women's basketball, like, up until like the modern era, like, was not very good. You also have to think about it too. Like, Vanderbilt women's basketball is in its conception, like, at like a very new program. Like, I don't think Vanderbilt women's basketball started till like the 50s or the 60s. So it's like, when you think of it that way, like that's a pretty young program.
Again, its first varsity season in 1977-78.
Oh my God! So I was
that's
way
according to AI.
That was so the only
okay. Also, VUCommodores.com confirms that.
Okay, wow. So like you got to think about that. Like that's a really young program. So I would probably say no.
Yeah, I kind of doubt that. His last question is, how fun is it to watch Aubrey Galvin play? Not a real question, just giving her a shout out since women's basketball is criminally underreported. That's our bad. She's in the top 10 in the nation in assists per game and leads all freshmen with 7, and was one steal away from getting a triple-double in just the 6th game of her college career. I have no hate in my heart whatsoever. I love seeing Vanderbilt women's basketball succeed. I just don't know anything about them besides Michaela Blake's. So Colin Bryant, he specifically texted me about the dynamic duo of Michaela Blake's and Aubrey Galvin, and he's going to have an article coming out soon about that. So don't you guys worry.
So guys, we hear your complaints, and we at TDR, we care. We are addressing your complaints. There will be more women's basketball coverage.
2 more questions here before we close out episode 346. First up from GLH4VU. Why are Indiana fans such bitches?
Because they live in Indiana. I would be hateful if I lived in the state of Indiana.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's their reaction has been. I get it. Like there should be some negative reaction to Pavia for having a sign that says "fuck Indiana." I have no problem with trolling and stuff like that. There's differences in like the people that take that and do some tongue-in-cheek reactions and will continuously troll because of that, and then people that are actually upset about it. Do you know what am I making any sense?
Yeah, you are.
Like the people that are genuinely like, no, that was disrespectful and crossing the line. And I just go back to like, Bob Knight was your coach. So let's shut up for a second. All right. Yeah, I don't have any problem with Indiana fans besides they've been kind of annoying through the process. Last question here on episode 346. Adam Baum, 1987. Great name. Says, just want to say, the more people talk about Pavia's comments and pretend like the Heisman or any college football voting committee cares about integrity, or that any of their schools have never had any outlandish actions or comments made by players, coaches, etc., the more I echo Pavia's sentiment, F them all. Like Trev said, they like underdogs until they're on top. They never cared about us. They pulled for us to beat their rivals, and now they hate watch us every day of every week. UT fans, Auburn fans cheering for Bama to beat us. What a time. Love being relevant. Time to embrace being hated. Us against the world. F them all.
Yeah.
It is a bizarre thing to watch Vanderbilt become
the villain.
Like the bad boys. Or
Yeah.
a hated team in the SEC.
And it's awesome.
Yeah,
it's
like,
awesome.
Appreciate it. That means you're rocking the boat. Like for
Yeah.
years, the complaint was nobody talks about Vanderbilt. Nobody gives them the credit when they're good. Nobody talks about them because they're just whatever. Well, now people are talking about it. And I hate to tell you, when people talk about your team, it ain't going to all be positive.
Yeah.
And when you're breaking through 50, 60 years of just not even bad, just uncaring, like below bad of football, like you're going to have to do it in non-traditional ways.
Yeah.
Like you don't break that cycle with just having a guy, like, no offense, he's a good player from everything I've seen from him, good personality, like great guy. Like you don't break that cycle with a Fernando Mendoza. Like you just don't. Like you break it with the mentality. And he's a coach and obviously behaved professionally. And I think he's a great coach, maybe the best coach in college football right now. But like Kurt Cignetti, when asked about like, what do you tell people when you're recruiting them of how you get them in? And his answer was just kind of rubbed his head and was like, Google me.
Yeah.
I win. Like that's basically the mentality you have to have. It's just like, screw that question. Like I'm him. Like I win. Like that's how you break it. It's just like none of this other shit. Like Indiana winning their first Big Ten championship since 1967. Like that's built off bringing guys in that don't give a crap about what people are saying. It's like, you're going to Indiana?
Yeah.
Really? Indiana? And they're like, I am. And I'm going to fucking win there.
Yeah.
Like that's how you have to build it. And you don't do that with boring personalities for the most part. You do that with people with unconditional belief in themselves.
Yeah.
And that's going to come with a couple screws loose.
Exactly.
Like we said. So
yeah, Vandy fans, enjoy this. Embrace it. Don't run from it. Don't hide from it. Don't complain like, oh man, everybody hates Vandy. No, like legitimately, please relish in it. Embrace it.
It's a privilege to be hated.
It's a privilege to be hated. And just like think about it, like we're 28 years old and I can't even begin to quantify the amount of bad football that I've witnessed in my entire life. And I know that a lot of our listeners are older than us. So for you guys, it's so much worse. You know what I mean? So please like enjoy this, embrace it. This is a new dawn, a new day. And it feels good to be hated, because it means you're actually making waves.
Yeah. And yeah, that about sums it up right there. I mean, you're making waves. You have people talking about you. That's what you've wanted for years. And people within the Vanderbilt fan base that are saying, oh, Pavia embarrassed the program, embarrassed the university.
Go cheer for somebody else.
I mean, in my personal opinion, I think it was more embarrassing being the absolute joke of the SEC for the last 50 years.
Yeah.
I think that was a lot more embarrassing than having a guy that bought a sign or had a sign in his section at a club. Like, to me, that's more of an indictment.
Yeah. If you want to cheer for these very prim, proper, buttoned up dudes, go cheer for a service academy. Go cheer for a service academy, because you're not going to really get that at any other institution in America that plays college football. Even if you want to go to like a G5 team, like they're going to have some dudes that are like dogs. So if you want that, and that's really what you're looking for, go cheer for Navy, go cheer for Army, go cheer for Air Force.
Yeah. And yes, there's just this part that's like, do people have this idea in their heads that the other, like Pavia immaturely went to social media and expressed things outwardly? Do you think runners up in the past of the Heisman Trophy were like, man, I wish I would have won, but man, that guy's maybe a better player than me. He deserves it. He's a better player. No. Everything that Pavia said or did was just exactly what people were thinking and saying to their buddies, and it just wasn't recorded. And it wasn't posted on an Instagram story. Like, you're lying to yourself if you wouldn't have a similar emotional reaction. Now, Pavia should have handled that emotion better. That's the nuance of what I'm saying here. But nothing he did is just attacking anybody, or I don't know.
Yeah,
it is just it's just whatever to me. I just don't have that big of an emotional reaction to that. But yeah, it's a privilege to be hated.
Like, we would call Peyton Manning a scumbag if they had phones whenever he lost the Heisman. Oh my God.
Phoebe made it down from the 7.5 foot tall bookcase.
And she almost ate it.
Yeah,
but
she's in a little shock.
My ever graceful queen. She made it. That was a sight. But yeah, all that to say is, if you go back in time and all these Heisman runner-up, if they had phones, we would be like, holy shit, what a bunch of idiots. It's just that simple.
Yep, that's it.
If they had phones in the 90s, everybody that you guys grew up idolizing, you would call a scumbag. Could you imagine if Michael Jordan had a cell phone? Could you imagine if Magic Johnson had an iPhone? Larry Bird had it. God forbid Lawrence Taylor had an iPhone.
It's cracked out during games.
Now Phoebe's about to throw up because she's got herself nervous.
She's right there. All right. Anything else you want to add on episode 346 before we close it up?
I can't wait to eat hot dogs.
All right. Trevor's going to be gobbling glizzies tomorrow. For myself, Will Byrum, and my co-host, Trevor Hulan, this has been episode 346 of The Door Report, powered by 615 Collectibles.